Serbia is a difficult case. From the one hand, they are going to integrate into the European society and first and foremost European Union. At the same time, they understand that NATO is something that they really need. But these old wounds, and especially the recognition by the West, the independence of Kosovo, in fact, Ukraine has not recognized and have no willingness to recognize as an independent state, even though it hasn't helped us to preserve the Crimean Peninsula under Ukrainian sovereignty. So it's up to Serbia to decide whether it's going to integrate into the Western structures. At the same time, it's up to the Serbian people to decide what who is proposing the better future. Either the European Union with a rule of law, human rights, and in other issues, and certainly a sort of prosperity and security for the old nations, and Russia that is proposing the old song, and actually the song remains the same: the brotherhood, the Slavic roots, orthodoxy, and other stuff. So Russia cannot propose anything in terms of the future. So it's up to the Serbians to decide whether to choose something practical and to be a part of the European family, or to choose the shady way nowhere. Well, we know for sure that the Serbian Prime Minister said that the third party, the third country, was involved, but he didn't name this third country. And after the incident, the Russian chief of the National Security Council paid the visit to Belgrade, and there were talks, and certainly there was no real ground for these talks except of this incident. So I think that they settled the issue, and possibly Serbia would not call that Russia was involved. But at the same time, given the scope of this plot, given the sophistication and especially technology being used by those who were trying to organize this coup, Russia was involved, and possibly the United States were involved as well, because such a sophisticated equipment could be cracked down by the powerful intelligence or counterintelligence organizations such as the National Security Agency. So we will see some traces to Russia, but possibly nobody will name this country itself. But what's interesting, the West is realizing, and the puzzle is almost set, that Russia is waging the war against NATO and the European Union and the United States in different manners. This is so-called hybrid war, where the 80% is on military means, in non-military means in its nature. It's a cyber, it's psychological warfare, it's economical sabotage and other stuff. And just 20%, as we witness in the Ukrainian Donbass and in Crimea, is a military aggression against the sovereign state. So the West is realizing how dangerous is this sentiment of the Kremlin, and how the Kremlin is using the old techniques. If we have a look at the history, and especially the early century after the revolution in Russia in 1917, there was a communist international, this sort of sabotage and espionage network of the Soviet Republic against the West. They were trying to undermine the democratic governments all across Europe and the United States. So we see the reappearance of such ideas, reappearance of such techniques and people, and possibly we will see some other weak points being struck by the Kremlin.